Mr. Eggplant presents...
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And I have another Mythic Plus dungeon run from the first season of The War Within, and today it's going to be a +10 time Necrotic Wake. This is actually the highest Necrotic Wake we've done so far this expansion. And this is a portal run for us this season, even though I already had that from Shadowlands. So we're going to start off with an absolutely ginormous pull all the way up to the Gatekeeper. There's 5 packs here in total. I'm doing my normal rotation of dropping my volley, going explosive shot, dropping volley, true shot, and then you go rapid fire, aim shot, and you just pump damage. I am playing a Sentinel Marksman Hunter in this video, and you are going to hear me say a lot of the times I don't do a very good job of dropping volley. And if you are messing around with having kill zone, for example, for big pulls like big burst damage, you do want to make sure and drop good volleys. So I have a lot of work to do. And the same goes for our Lunar Storm damage thanks to Sentinel. So on these big pulls, the key to success is keeping them all CC'd. The entire group did a masterful job, and shout out to everybody in the group doing work and keeping everything off the healer, which then keeps us nice and healthy. We had a ton of CC in this group. A lot of that was from our capacitor totem. We have Galakrond, otherwise known as Glitchy, just knocking everything up, buffing everybody, and Axix keeping us alive in the process. And oh, don't forget, Exodia Teach is also doing a masterful job as well. And this was a key that has kind of eluded us so far this season. We would get close and we get up to that third boss, and then it would fall off. The wheels would fall off for whatever reason. But we did a really, really great job. So that was a huge, just extended pull. I did 439 million damage over the course of that, like absolutely crazy. For the entire dungeon, I ended up doing 2.07 million, but of course we do have an Augavoker that makes us look way better than we actually are, and then got a few PIs, I think 3 throughout this entire dungeon. So we were looking at cooldowns, and I opted to hold on to my True Shot. As a Sentinel Marksman Hunter, you can whittle the cooldown of it more than you can as a Dark Ranger Marksman Hunter, but I went ahead and opted to hold it because we were absolutely melting this stuff. Going to Get You was doing a great job. He was absolutely killing it on his Enhanced Shaman. But looking at cooldowns, I haven't talked about it too much, but I am just making sure I have my cooldowns up for Blightbone, because one of my goals each and every time I come into a Mythic Plus dungeon is to use True Shot as much as possible, but also have it up for boss encounters on pull, because we need all the careful aim damage we can get. So we're going to bring Blightbone over here in the corner. We're going to make sure and bait the breath. So I went ahead and I got breath first. So I'm going to go ahead and push it this way, use my turtle, throw down my binding shot so we can get the worms all together and cleave them down. This fight actually has some pretty decent cleave, and then you do see that Xal'athath bargain Ascendant, that 20% haste, there we go, and movement speed, which will help us get out of some tricky situations. On this fight, it's all about ad management, doing damage to Blightbone, and dropping the poop puddles in good areas. And we did that. And I also had some pretty good Lunar Storm damage on this one as well. So I had the Wretch there, so I did use one of my defensive cooldowns, and then we are going to try to keep all the worms in one area as much as possible. And there's where the Slappy Hands definitely came into play there from Teach. And then Xal'athath is going to bring her orbs down again. You can deal with those orbs in a multitude of different ways. Usually a Mass Dispel will take care of them, but you can also use your Implosive Trap, which I am using in this video. And so we're trying to position ourselves to, if we get the breath, to make sure we're putting it back where all the other poops are, and my goal was to try to get it every time, and I just about did. So I did use double cooldowns there, so I used my Fortitude of the Bear and my other charge of Survival of the Fittest, because that thing hurts. What I could have done also is used my Feign Death there to get rid of the disease. I actually realized I did not do that when I'm watching this back through. So hey, I learned something from my dungeon run. I will put my entire build down in the description of the video, and the affixes as we're finishing up this first boss fight are Xal'athath's Bargain Ascendant, Fortified, Challenger's Peril, and Tyrannical. And we don't see that last affix until we get to 12s, which probably won't be for a little bit, since we have a ton of Gilded Crest still to get. So, Heaving Wretch took Affixes out. Like, that thing was hitting so hard. And so if I wasn't popping my defenses, I would have been dead on any of those other frontals as well, because it's unavoidable damage. Unless, of course, you have a turtle or some heavy defensives, or maybe even a bubble from a paladin. But unfortunately, Odwin was just listening to this run and wasn't in here with us. But down goes Blightbone. Some pretty great damage on there, and I'm looking at my true shot. It's up now, and I know we're going to do another pretty big pull, and we typically don't pull massively. Like, we have some big pulls, but we haven't really been able to take full advantage of light ammo, which we were in this video. So misdirect onto the tank, and then throw out my explosive shot, volley, true shot, rapid fire, aim shot, and then we're already almost at 5 million DPS just from that. I'm going to try to weave in my multi-shots as much as possible for that precise shot procs, but then also to get trick shots. And on the necromancers here, you just want to interrupt the necrotic bolt, because it puts a heal absorb and does damage, I believe, to your tank or whoever is targeted. On this pull here, we have the Marauder. He has the fear, and usually Teach will get that, or whoever the tank is, and then we focus on the Bone Mender. We want to try to keep the Bone Mender interrupted. That Bone Mend, you don't want that to go off, but also he has an ability, which I forget the name, we're going to see it here, maybe like Dark Bargain or something like that, that needs to be CC'd. And if not, it does a burst of damage. Final Bargain. There we go. So you want to roll hard CC on that. So my CC, I forget what it's called. Intimidation. There we go. I don't use it as much as I'd like to. But my intimidation was down, so I would have been calling out to the group like, hey, make sure we get this interrupted. The freezing trap would work as well, but it's kind of hard to get it thrown in there. I could have used implosive trap as well. So, or high explosive trap would have worked too. And now I'm holding on to my true shot because we are ready for a big pull. We have actually wiped on this pull and it's killed keys before. So explosive shot, volley, true shot, my potion even, rapid fire, aim shot. So I'm getting my Lunar Storm damage underneath everything. Get rid of the shroud with my trank shot, and then I'm just doing AoE damage. I didn't have to worry about the orbs since Affixes had that down pat. And then we're just going to interrupt our first off, I should say, avoid the explosions. Those things absolutely hurt. Interrupt the necrotic bolt, and that's really this fight. Dark Shroud is the ability that's up on the boss right now, or the mini boss, and that is what you purge. Luckily, somebody else purged it there, so I didn't really have to worry about it. But like, our group is pumping. We are doing like 5 million DPS among the three of us, and we are just moving right along. On this pack, we tend to pull it by itself, or at least pull it until one of them dies, and then take the other Marauder into the pack over to the left so we can pick up the spear there. And we were talking about spear targets. We weren't going to use them all on because we actually forgot the first spear. So that was kind of, we were doing a route that we're not used to doing. So we only had 2 spears, so we used one on this 3rd boss and one on the 4th boss, since they don't stack.
Target change.
So cleaving off of one, and I have been known to get some cheeky stacks of trick shots with these orbs, because I mean, on this fight I can't cleave otherwise, so I will use my multi-shot. Yeah, the multi-shot damage that hits them doesn't really matter, but it allows me to cleave on the Marauders, so it's not so bad. Now, Marauders did get 6 stacks there, and that's probably the biggest mistake we made during the key, and if that's the case and we still timed it and we learned from it, it was a win in my book. But those guys are hitting harder, doing more damage, swinging faster, and Teach is feeling it. Luckily, those just dropped off, and one Marauder is almost down. Got the interrupt. I think we actually interrupted the one that was dying, so the other one's going to cast here in just a second. And we're just making sure we cleave off of the Marauder. We want him down. That way we don't have to worry about that cleave damage, and we don't have to worry about the scream there as well. And so now I'm going to cycle through until I get to the Necromancer. This is honestly a single target pull right here, but I'm going to continue to do my cleaving because I can do extra damage once those guys get lower health, and every time my multi-shots are hitting something that has my Sentinel stacks on it, it's doing a burst amount of damage. So even though it is padding my DPS with trash that's going to die once the Necromancer dies, it's still giving me more damage on the Necromancer. So I'm going to go, I think I'm the one who grabs this, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and grab the spear here, and we're already talking amongst ourselves if we're doing a big pull here. Like, is a big pull coming? Yes, no, and then we're trying to prep for it. So I'm going to get rid of the slow there. We do have the haste buff still from the Xal'athath's Ascendant, excuse me. So we opted to not use any big cooldowns here. At least I didn't, I should say. The Necromancer going down. Can you zap it? Got tagged with a couple of... I should have done a better job of interrupting the mages there. That's definitely on me. Should have been doing that. Misdirect goes out, and we're going to do a big pull here. I'm going to cleave off of the Marauder. Normal opener there, so explosive shot, volley, and I actually used a pre-pot here as well, true shot. Then I go into my normal spam rotation. Can we talk about how Can You Zap It was above 7 million DPS there? Shout out to you again, my friend. I hope he checks this video out, because he's been putting in the work, and everybody in Raid has been noticing it. So he's been doing a really, really great job so far this expansion. We'll have to avoid the almost fear. I throw the misdirect over on these other two Bone Carver ads. And the nice thing about bringing those Bone Carvers in, they don't have a ton of health, but what does it allow us to do? It allows us to continue to cleave. And Teach was cognizant of that throughout this run, like making sure, for the most part, yeah, it hurts my damage, but it hurts the group damage as well if I'm not able to cleave. So we're going to skip this pack since we pulled more, including that Gatekeeper at the very beginning. We're actually going to not have enough forces at the end of this run, so we do have to go back. But I found some craziness at the end that we'll talk about. We had our healer Axix go over and start the RP up to Amarth. So while he is up there being stunned, we're not taking a ton of damage over here anyway. And I just going to throw all my cooldowns minus True Shot. True Shot is going to be saved on Amarth until we get to the first set of ads, because the ads are pad, yes, but they have to die. And it allows us to use one... I don't remember if we use... Yeah, I think we do, actually. We go back and get another orb, because we currently only have one orb on us, and we want to have two, because we want to use one orb for one set of ads to bring them all in so they all get interrupted, and then we want to use one orb on the first set of trash up in the Ziggurat as we're heading up to Stitchflesh. So down goes the monstrosity, and now we're going to all try to do some parkour, and we're going to try to see if we can get over this downed pillar. So I don't know where I found the sweet spot, but boop, boop, right up we go. And I wasn't going to end up picking it up anyway. I just wanted to try out some parkour and show off my elite hunter jumping skills. But we have the orb there, so I don't remember who picks up this other spear, but we try to have everybody with spears, and you have to make sure you pick them up in a certain order to be able to use them in a certain order, because every one of them goes on top of the last one you picked up. So we're opting to not lust on Amarth. So I'm using my cooldowns. I am holding volley and explosive shot and true shot to make sure I can hit all of those ads with it. And you will see this huge spike in damage. So here comes Land of the Dead on Amarth. I am going to cleave off of Amarth. I'm going to use my misdirect, get them all in there. Volley, true shot, and we will just absolutely blow these guys sky high. Some really, really great damage on this fight for explosive shot. Here comes the Necrotic Breath. It didn't pick me, so I didn't really have to worry about it. I can pretty much plant and do damage. Just above 2 million DPS. That won't last the entire time, but still a good amount of damage. You want to kill all the ads before Final Harvest comes out, because the boss gets a buff for that. And you also want to try to have an interrupt rotation for the Necrotic Bolt, because it does damage and leaves a heal absorb as well. So Misdirect comes out. I'm going to get that back on Amarth and start using my normal AoE rotation, minus Volley and minus True Shot. But we actually almost had our True Shot up, so we're able to whittle the cooldown way down on that right now with the extra aim shots that we're casting thanks to our pin cushion. So the breath was on me. Luckily for me, I got out in the nick of time. It was pretty close though. Definitely. And then the necrotic bolts are what needs to be interrupted. Final Harvest comes out, so the boss is going to ping damage. The more ads come out, the more damage he sacrifices them, and the more damage that pings out on us. I'm looking at my True Shot. Should I use it? Should I not? In my head right now, do I think we need it? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Explosive Shot. I did throw out my freezing trap there, but it was the same one that ended up getting pulled in. So whoops, hindsight's 20/20 on that. I believe I am going to go ahead and hold my True Shot here. This was really close. We let the mages get their casts out, and that was partially due to the fact that we had CC'd one of them, and that was the one that got pulled. It is what it is, but that's the difference on some of these fights where just a couple of those stacks go out, your group's dead. Like Galakron and Axix and myself, for that matter, were very, very low. But we managed to eke it out on an 11. That would have probably been a different story. But we are not there yet, pushing-wise. So hopefully we will be very soon. Up to the Ziggurat we go with 72%. I believe you need to be like 78 headed up here. Something like that. Maybe 75. So we're gonna grab these spare parts. Then we're going to have Teach is slowly letting this pat come in. The pat comes in. We pull 3 packs in total, and now I use all of my cooldown. So I use my pre-pot as well, and I'm just going to cleave off of anything that moves. There is the gore splatter you want to interrupt in here, and then you also want to watch out for the frontal. It is a very difficult to see, and you usually tend to be clumped up right here. Crazy damage, absolutely crazy damage. It really goes to show you the more targets you can get in there consistently, the better you are with a marksman hunter. It definitely helps things, that's for sure. And then the Ascendant's orbs comes down. We get most of those, and we have 3 targets left. We're finishing off those. The cleaver I'm trying to have hit the creations instead of hitting me, because that cleaver is going to absolutely annihilate me thanks to Fortified, so I want to avoid that. And then we have a pack of 3 here. So the nice thing is all the packs here are packs of 3 except for 1. And I believe we usually pull that one in with the packs that are behind us anyway. These collectors still have the drain fluids and then the gore splatter. Those are interrupts that you need to do. They can be CC'd anyway. And if you do end up getting it on you, at least as the marksman hunter, you can use emergency salve in your build, in your general tree, and just use feign death, and it'll get rid of that. So this makes this pack, I believe, a pack of 7, pack of 6. Yeah, it looks like 6. Teach got absolutely annihilated there. Like I said, these things do a ton of damage, and if just a couple of the casts go out on one target, unless they're using a defensive and they know it's coming, it can be pretty much GG. The mutilates are the important thing to watch out for, because I believe that's the stacking damage buff that Teach is tanking. So he has to start kiting them, because otherwise he gonna be dead. So there's another tenderized stack. He was able to deal with that. I think I don't remember if it's tenderize. I'll have to ask him if it's tenderize or mutilate. Either way, they both sound bad, and they both sound like they hurt, and I don't want to get hit with them as the marksman hunter. All right, so forces wise, we're at 87%. We still have 2 packs left here on the side for Gore Grind this pack here, the 2 assistants, then Gore Grind and Rot Spew, and then we will be on to Surgeon Stitchflesh. You forget just how much time you spend up here in the Ziggurat. So one of the assistants will fixate. One of them is a caster. Here comes the Morbid Fixation. It's on Galakron, so you just want to kite it. And if you are and I'm gonna make sure I get the cleaver hit this other assistant hit, I should say, with the cleaver. So I had to be kind of Johnny on the spot for that one. I am unfortunately just going to miss with one of the pulls later on the boss, but you know, not a perfect run, but I am so proud of this, and I think that everybody in the group should be as well. So a morbid fixation went out. I went ahead and I feigned death, and the pull was still going. And I know you guys can't hear comms, but Teach is like, wait, what happened? He's like, I didn't think it pulled him. Well, I just feigned. So it didn't really have to worry about it. So I'm gonna know I can use my true shot here because we're not gonna use it on pull on the boss. We have to wait till the boss actually comes down. So explosive shot, volley, true shot, dodge the frontal gut slice there, and then I do my rapid fire aim shot. So that's getting plenty of Sentinel stacks out, getting plenty of cleave out, and also putting Lunar Storm under these adds. And you can tell on a lot of these pulls, like right now, for example, when they're in Lunar Storm. I wish I was going and hovering over it each time so you guys could see. Maybe I'll try to do that in the future, but you are getting tremendous value out of your Lunar Storm when everything is just kind of hanging out and standing in place. So Gore Grind is the one that definitely puts those Mutilate stacks on Teach and Tenderize for that matter. Again, they both sound very angry, and one of them is probably going to kill me, so I will never, hopefully, figure out which one is which, at least personally. We have Rot Spew, and then we have Boss. So I've actually already got 10 seconds left on True Shot. Thanks to the extra focus we're spending and extra focus regeneration, thanks to our extra haste from steady focus, you get more true shots out. I wish I would have done what an average number of true shots I was getting out in a dungeon pre 11.05, but I know for a fact I have to be at least getting 2, maybe even 3 more true shots out in some of these dungeons because of how much more focus we're spending, thanks to Pincushion and getting more aim shots out. Now, if only Dark Ranger would be a little bit better, we might be having even more fun. But you know, we'll just see how long that's going to take. So Rot Spew going down, and now we have Stitchflesh, Nalthor the Rimebinder, and 4% forces. We are finding out right now that we don't have enough forces. On this boss, I'm not going to use any of my big cooldowns. I'm just going to be doing damage to Stitchflesh's creation because the meat hook's going to come out. The meat hook wants to be right next to the arrow where it's going to be dropped right now. It will pull Stitchflesh down. Then I'm going to use all of my cooldowns. I'm prepping for that. We have the haste buff too, which is nice. On to Stitchflesh. There goes the javelin, explosive shot, volley, true shot with my potion, and then I do rapid fire, aim shot. What we need to be doing is also doing damage to the Stitchflesh's creation. There's the pull. It's going to stop the fixation. I don't have to worry about it since I feigned. And Stitchflesh is melting very, very, very quickly. The embalming ichor was dropped over there. Unfortunately, this is where I am going to miss. I really thought I was going to hit here. And unfortunately, actually, now that I think about it, I think maybe the creation died. It wasn't that I missed. I think the creation just died. Either way, doesn't matter. It was pretty close, and it's scary. Like this fight on Tyrannical, if you mess up and you don't have your spears later on, it's a rough fight. And that was usually why we wiped in previous runs of this dungeon. But here we're just finishing off Stitchflesh. We got him very, very low. In this dungeon in particular, we had really, really good Ascendant orb buffs where we actually got to use them on bosses instead of it like, even though we just ended a fight and now we get them type thing. I mean, we did just do that right now, but we are still able to pull Nalthor with it. So I have enough time to get a full true shot out here before he picks targets. Now, could you try to play the game a little bit and figure out if he picks you first? Absolutely, you could do that, but I opted to just do damage as much as possible, get that true shot on cooldown, and be prepped for getting picked potentially. So I'm going to pick Can You Zap It? So we got super lucky in this one as well. Maybe they have, whenever you have an Aug Evoker, maybe it tends to not pick the Aug, but it literally went it went, can you zap it? Me. Can you zap it? Me. So we didn't have to worry about the Aug of Ogre, which doesn't do as much damage. That's not their purpose, which will be harder for them to deal with the ad down at the bottom. But Can You Zap It is headed back up here in just a second. He's going to take the, as soon as he lands, he's going to go over to the corner. I have Frozen Binds on me, but I can use Disengage to get rid of that. Here comes the Dark Exile as soon as Can You Zap It comes back up, so we're going to go ahead and make the switch. And then here, I usually use my Cheetah to get all the way down to the end. I don't start attacking the Siphoner right away because I want to get up close to him to use Rapid Fire so he takes Lunar Storm damage. Interrupt the Enfeeble. What I want to do is get right up to the Gilded Champion here and then start attacking him because he did walk out of that a little bit, but you can melt him very, very quickly. Just run up to the Angel and then hit the guy, drop your Rapid Fire, and then interrupt the Enfeeble mark, and then you don't have to worry about him too much. I dropped the Ice Patch in the corner, and Nalthor is at 40% health, and I have 30 seconds of 100% crit chance. So now we're going to melt some boss health. Here comes the Comet Storm. So I just kind of run in a little zigzag pattern. I know you can pretty much stay in a tight circle for the most part. I try to stay to myself anyway, just because I try to use my range to advantage. And then I'm going to do, again, a little bit of cleave damage here. I know they fixed that on Dark Ranger. I hope they don't actually do that for Sentinel as well, but we'll have to wait and see. 20% boss health left, Comet Storm's going out up top, and I'm going down below. And this is where, so we did lose Galakron there, but it's not a huge deal. We didn't have very many deaths in this run either. There's the Siphoner. I'm going to run up as close as I can. I started attacking him. Again, what I need to do, it's just Enfeeble, not Enfeebled Mark. Luckily, he was pretty much dead already, so I didn't have to worry about too much. Boop, boop, boop. And we are headed up, looking at that boss health over on the side. He is at 7% health. We are all telling each other, hey guys, we don't have enough forces. We need to go click on that Angel as soon as possible and get ported to the very beginning of the dungeon. Here's something I didn't know. Wouldn't you know it? Look at that. I still have 100% crit chance. We have 30 seconds left on that buff. I am calling it out to anybody who will listen to me. Guys, we need to just pull. Pull. I have 20 seconds left on 100% crit chance. I'm pulling for you. Let's go. We're going to use True Shot, Explosive Shot, Volley. I'm actually going to miss with the Volley because I'm bad at this class. And we are going to annihilate this stuff. Like over 10 million DPS. I don't think we got quite to 11, but down goes the entire remainder of the courtyard. We needed that 4%, and we got like 4.5 or something. But there we go. That final pull was basically 8 million DPS, 2.07 million for the entire dungeon, and this was actually the dungeon after we got Keystone Hero. So we did make that stretch goal of getting Keystone Hero. My goal is to continue to push keys to get the first off all of the portals, but then also to try to continue to push and see what we can do. My goal is 3,000. After that, we'll see what we can do, and that is, of course, if we can even get there. But I'm going to go ahead and show the second section of this video, which is going to be me doing a breakdown of the damage, and also Teach got the mount. He got Maro's Reigns or whatever at the end here, so congratulations to him, but he opted to give it to Can You Zap It. So congratulations, my friend, on a kind of ugly looking mount, but it's still a mount, so it's still a +1. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to the breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this run. And now on to the damage breakdown for my +10 Necrotic Wake. And if you guys like this format, please continue to give me feedback down below so I can tailor these videos to be something that you guys want to see here on YouTube. And shout out to the entire group. This was an amazing group effort, and I'm really proud of the entire team for this run. So looking at the damage breakdown, aim shot is going to start being your number 1 again because of how many more aim shots we get out thanks to Pincushion. So Pincushion is a new ability that is a shared node with improved steady shot, and then every time you use your steady shot, it whittles the remaining cooldown of your next aim shot charge by 2 seconds. So we just got so many more out in this run because of that ability. It's very, very strong. And then also, I was running with light ammo, so I got a ton more ricochets from trick shots as well. So aim shot and rapid fire definitely are going to be your 1 and 2. Had some really good crit chance on all of these abilities as well, thanks to that crit stacking and the extra crit steroids we have in our build. One thing that was surprising to me was actually multi-shot, and that's because of the big pulls that we were doing. So I was hitting more enemies with multi-shot. Look at that, I had 1,140 hits, and I casted 233 times, so some napkin math is almost hitting 5 targets every single time I casted a multi-shot. So very, very good damage there. My Sentinel damage there from playing a Sentinel Marksman Hunter and Lunar Storm and Symphonic Arsenal. Sentinel looks pretty standard there. Lunar Storm I think is actually on the low end. Unfortunately, my placement for some of my rapid fires, or just flat out not holding them, cost me some damage here, which isn't that big of a deal now, but not only does it hurt your personal damage, but it hurts your group damage as well. So you want to make sure you're dropping those in good spots. Even if you're delaying it a couple seconds of using that rapid fire, which you will see me do throughout the run, just to make sure you're hitting more enemies, or those enemies are just flat out staying in the Lunar Storm, because most of that damage is just sitting there in a pool on the ground that still nobody can see. Symphonic Arsenal was the last of our main abilities, I guess, other than Volley, but it's going to be getting a 15% increase to damage, so that will be good. I think that's happening this coming week. I was using light ammo, like I said. I'm contemplating on big pulls running with Killzone, but I haven't quite figured out where I would want to move that point to. And if you do run with Killzone, you have to make sure you're dropping your volleys in great spots and delaying it to make sure you're hitting the most enemies possible, but also having follow-up for it. So you do want to keep that in mind. It's more of a min-max play style. But other than that, we don't have too much damage from all of our the rest of our kit. In fact, Arcane Shot, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I only casted it 73 times in the entire dungeon. That was basically on bosses. And then let's look at our auras. And one of the big damage boosters in this run, Dawntread Lining, up for 91% of the dungeon. So I had 1,500 bonus crit because I was above 80% health for 91% of the dungeon. That is a direct shout out to Galakrond and Affixes for keeping my squishy butt alive and just putting us in a position, I guess myself as well, to just make sure I'm not taking unneeded damage, but just keeping me alive and keeping me in that 80% threshold, above that 80% threshold to get the bonus to my double embellishment. And then Presence and also Ebon Might, I had it up for over half the dungeon, so that was a Galakrond buffing us to high heaven so we can do that extra damage. And then one other ability I wanted to shout out, first off, I had Bullseye up for 49% of the dungeon as well. That's pretty sick. Steady Focus, which means I had an extra 8% haste by casting a steady shot one time. Had it at 72%. I'd like it to be higher than that. I need to continue to do a better job of pushing that into my build. And then Power Infusion. So I did get the Power Infusion, it looks like 3 times in total. And it looks like probably Can You Zap It got the rest. Yeah, he got it 8 times. So again, we were knocking it out of the park. I'm so glad that Affixes was spreading those around. But this was a great run. Like I said, I'm really proud of the whole group for this. And then big shout out to Can You Zap It, otherwise known as Going to Get You. He's been really putting in a ton of work on his shaman, and you can definitely tell in those damage meters. So keep up the great work, my friend. But thank you guys for checking out this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. I've got a lot of Gilded Crest to spend, so I'll see you next time.